Hey, Matt Lenzner here from Breakpoint 40, where we talk about the issues and challenges facing professional services companies and how to address those and have a company that's great to work at and grows and makes a lot of money. So today I want to talk about one of my favorite business books, and it's The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen. It's an old book. It's a classic. What I like about this book is everything that was in there from back in the day, it's still true. It still keeps happening. It revealed a sort of fundamental truth about business. So I can't recommend this book enough. I'm going to summarize it real quick and sort of talk a little bit about how it applies to professional services. I want to kind of get the ball rolling on this idea about the innovator's dilemma and how that affects us all. So the idea being that companies rise and become very profitable and brand names and everything. And then other companies come in that are smaller, disrupt them. And then these companies, in a lot of cases, disappear. There's all sorts of giant companies that seem like indomitable and couldn't be stopped. And then we're just sort of knocked off their perch. Some of them survive and some of them don't. A good example of a company that survived is Apple. It went through this terrible time where I think one year it lost $1 billion. And so it had made personal computers and it had to kind of reinvent itself. And then they started with the iPod and the iPhone, and then now they're back on top again, waiting for someone to come and knock them off their perch. But then there's so many companies. If you've been around like I have and remember the disk drive industry, so we're talking, like the 80s and 90s, these disk drive companies would rise and fall. New drive companies would come in. And this is one of the examples in the book. He also gives an example of printing presses and how there was big printing presses. Then people made smaller printing presses that ended up growing in and taking away all of the market of the big printing press companies or the printing press makers. And so what's going on is these companies, they sort of focus in on their best customers that make them the most money and try and make them happy. Their product gets more and more expensive and more complicated. And then the smaller companies don't want to use it anymore. Then someone comes in and makes what would be like an inferior product, but it's cheaper and it only has the features that these small companies need. And then these smaller companies grow and start taking market share from the larger companies. And you'll know when these companies are about cooked, when they're just at the very top, all of their clients are like Fortune 500 or even bigger companies like that. And they don't have any small company customers anymore. That's like they're approaching the cliff. When we were talking about doing this topic for Breakpoint 40, my people, they said, hey, you really should add a concrete example of a company that rose up from below and show how that happened in real life. I was thinking about it, but I couldn't really think of an example. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it's really not something that happens in professional services. I mean, I'm sure it has happened, but it's not a common story the way it is in product. But why is that? And that's, I think, a key question to think about, because there's two things. I think there's plenty of innovative companies, but the other thing is, if you're the innovator, you also have to be in a position to grow your company. That's what protects these companies at the top of the heap. The ones that are ahead of you that are bigger for the same reasons, product companies become vulnerable, they become bloated, they become too beholden to their biggest customers. That absolutely still happens in professional services. But then those more innovative companies that are agile, that can sort of really play in one niche and can be a provider that is cheaper, and maybe they don't have all the bells and whistles, but they can really focus on one thing and provide really good value. They are not equipped to take advantage of that because of all of these growth problems that we talk about. And I think the growth problem is what keeps the innovator's dilemma from fully being realized in professional services. That's exactly what this whole channel is about, is how do you grow your company? So then you have both pieces. You have the innovation, and then you have the ability to take advantage of it. The taking advantage of it is the part that's missing that keeps these large, bloated, super expensive companies in business and sort of unthreatened and having no reason to be worried about someone coming up from below and taking market share from them. That's really what it all comes down to. And it's going to get solved. It will get solved even if nobody watches any of my content, because there's this wave of information technology that we're on with AI. And with the internet fully realized and video conferencing, all that stuff is going to conspire where every single professional services company has a national market or even an international market in this new world. And in that case, the ability to grow and not be confined to some specific geographical area like things used to be is gone now. That barrier is gone. So the barrier now is the growth barrier. And there's certain skill sets that we'll be talking about in the future that are the things you need to take that innovator's dilemma. The people I'm speaking to, you're the disruptors. You're not the people that are in these privileged places. I'm talking to all you upstarts out there, all you people that you're approaching 40, you've sort of proven that you can grow a business and you have a good idea. Now the next step is, how do we get to that next level? You have to disrupt. You're going to have to move in. You're going to have to be the innovator and have all of those skills and all of those processes and all of that technology already ready to go so that you can continue to keep moving up that ladder and still provide better service at less cost. And then that's how you move up. But you have to have the infrastructure in your company and the process in your company and the knowledge in your brain of being able to grow a professional services company, which historically has been something that has been a big challenge. So just keep all that in mind when you're thinking about the innovator's dilemma. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, catch you guys in the next one. I haven't mentioned this on every episode, but please comments below if you want to ask a question or make a suggestion or anything. I'm all ears, so please. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, bye.
This podcast was brought to you by Bizinta. Bizinta is an all-in-one cloud platform for professional service firms that combines time tracking, scheduling, invoicing, project management, and real-time reporting to help teams run operations more efficiently and improve profitability. For more information, click the link below.